Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Friday. Oh gosh, I don't even know what day it is actually. It is, thank you. It's September the 28th, 2018. I'm sorry, who am I again? No, I know who I am. At any rate, we are back around the quantum campfire again. And this one really is following up on our very last conversation. The woe is me frequency energetic being, absolutely no longer supported. And this one is going to be about how one might go about changing the frequential neighborhood that they find themselves swimming around in. Seamlessly. Yes.
Not that they're swimming around it seamlessly, but how they can change into another one seamlessly.
All right, that sounds wonderful.
And when we first talked about doing this, I didn't realize at first that it would fall under this category, but I started our conversation with BZ this evening off camera, admitting to something, didn't I, Lisa?
Yes. Which I'd already experienced 2.5 weeks ago.
which was actually very cool for me to hear from you too, BZ.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that, everybody can imagine that. Well, maybe not everyone can. The minute I saw BZ's video with Nicholas and Jeannie, which I adore both of those beings, I've recorded some of Jeannie's writings, and I just adore Nicholas. He is as cute as he can be. And I love his writings.
Yeah.
They're so uplifting. And, but not going to lie, I saw them and the quantum campfire, and I got zinged on 2 levels. I was like, BZ's having a conversation and Lisa and I aren't there. What?
Imagine that.
I know, right? And for me also a ding on the campfire thing, because for me personally, campfire means a great deal, right? There are those out there that know that I kind of found out how I enjoy this by having something I called the campfire chat. So jealousy is an emotion that came up for me, and I knew exactly that it was the minute it came up, which was really cool in and of itself. And I turned to Lisa later and I said to her, I had this come up and I can't deny that. But it was very fleeting. And then when I heard Jeannie talk about the program being removed from her head, I feel like that's an energetic that just is. And it's all across the board, because I noticed this within myself, but I didn't go down the road of, it was like very fleeting. I noticed it and I shared it with Lisa, but it was, and I don't know if it's because I've been working on these things already.
Well, can you feel into it for a moment? Because there's something right there, I think, which will expand this even more.
Okay.
Because you didn't even dance with it.
No, I didn't.
Because I saw you do it. But I saw you do it 2.5 weeks before the conversation that you're recounting.
Oh, so you're saying that you saw me dance with it more than I danced with it?
No, remember what I described to you with the whole I'm trying to bring in just the relevant part, but I was having a conversation with me, about 3 weeks ago. And, you know, that I needed to, now was the time to start to get these together, the quantum campfire conversation.
Okay.
And because more and more beings were at least in a bilocational consciousness groove much more often. And so that's one of the major parts of the energetic envelope, is to be in a multi-locational consciousness playground, which is what the campfire energetic opens up. The quantum campfire energetic opens up. Anyways, so then 2.5 weeks ago, I actually scheduled, got everything, you know, for my schedule, and scheduled it in. And then when I was doing that and having the subsequent conversation with me to me, I had a small short video come in of Sheila, and Lisa was there, but mostly it was like, you know, to say the camera was mostly focused on Sheila, right? Of her experiencing watching the first one. And I had a conversation with me about that, asking, did I need to alter anything? And I was told no, because this was a helpful path for her to travel. And she's the one choosing it, so we don't interfere. Okay, fine. So anyway, so that's part of what I shared, but it's interesting the way, that's why I can say, not having been there and only hearing about it in theory, in a linear way from you tonight, a little while ago, supposedly for the first time, that it was very short. You didn't even, that's why I say you didn't even dance with it.
Well, Lisa, actually, Lisa can actually answer that better than I could, because I really don't feel like I did, but Lisa was here, of course, and you actually said something because you saw it before I did.
Yeah, I was up and I had saw a notification and it made me laugh because I saw you seeing that this time, and I had a little comedy play act that made me laugh, and I went to sleep. And when I woke up this morning, I was so curious about you seeing it. And deliciously for me, I was sitting right there when it happened.
No coincidence though, right?
No coincidence at all. As she arrived in the living room, that I was sitting there.
So I was totally focused on Sheila because, you know,
right.
I felt a little candid camera for me. And it was really, really, really delicious because she just went, well, first her eyes told the whole story, you know. They just sort of got very large. She took a breath. And she went, and just took a bead. She just kind of stopped herself from going any further than. And she breathed. And then she had hit play. And we sort of sat with it. And then I just kind of watched her play in the energetic envelope. And it was just always so delicious and beautiful, because there was just like this beauty and majesty in all of it. And then afterwards, she looked at me and said, you know, for a second, I felt a tinge, just like for a smidgen, like I felt it. And integrated it, and I really worked through all of it, like just in a nanosecond. And I had witnessed just that. And so it was really, we all celebrated. I don't know. It just felt really sublimely delicious.
Well, it did. And for me, I was able to trace it back. The jealousy stemmed actually, because I wanted to know why. First of all, why in the world would I be jealous? I have nothing to be jealous of. I love these beings, and I still get to participate. I mean,
Right.
So I had to ask myself these questions. Okay, so what is this all about, little being? Because I kind of felt like that. This is all happening very quickly for me at this point with that, but yeah, I had to ask that. And for me, the root of that is still, which is, it's not shocking, but it's surprising to me because it is. This one is apparently the biggest core for me. It's abandonment, which folks might say, well, how do you go from jealousy to abandonment? But it's there. That's the underlying one.
Yeah.
For me in this one.
Yep.
And I know that I keep there's something still there that I haven't apparently let go of yet, but I'm aware of it. And so I do feel like this was a good thing for me all the way around. But again, just so I can see where, for me, being able to notice it, that's the biggest thing. Notice it. Mm-hmm. And then I'll tell you, the other thing is, for me in this one, I didn't jump out and get mad at myself or,
Right. That's drama. That's a major ingredient in the seamlessness. Yes.
Right. I didn't there was no drama. You're right. No drama whatsoever. I didn't get mad at myself. I didn't go crazy with why am I still doing this? Because that's kind of pointless or at least for me. And just being gentle on myself and saying, hey, yeah, okay, that's all right. And actually being very proud of the way that whole thing went down and feeling really good about all of it, from beginning to end, noticing it. And then, because quite frankly, I know that you said after the fact that you could feel it in me, but I didn't have to share that or say anything to anyone about that, because it was completely drama free. And like you said, I just kind of took a breath, and but it felt important for me to voice that too.
Yes, because that's what you do. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for that, because it's true. And it's a beautiful example really to all of us of that seamless transition, really, where you can take a breath and change the script, because it's entirely up to you. Yeah. And watching you do that it just felt so delicious. Well, I'm trying to do that too. I'm trying to, stay in that zone all the time, but I find that I'm not sustaining it 100, but I'm getting very close now. And watching you also helps me, right? Like that helps me also master myself, because I recognize myself in everything that you're doing.
Right.
I see me. I'm doing all of that. So.
Well, that's delicious in and of itself, because for you, and I would like to move towards that myself as well. I really didn't recognize all of that about that whole thing for myself until much after the fact. Like you were saying, you recognized yourself in that, and I didn't even realize it. So in this particular one, when I shared it with you, I realized that it's important to share overall period, because, it just is. And
Yeah.
you're right. That is part of my process. And I know that now.
Yeah. But it's lovely.
Well, I feel very
there's
fortunate.
benefits, right? So.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the thing, because I just heard a couple people say, well, what if you don't have that connection where you can have, a Lisa or like Lisa or like Sheila or BZ or the three, right there kind of a thing, or either those specific beings, or, like that. And both of me said, but you do. And that's your soul right there in that conversation. And those moments and that thought of that, so that question and the thought of it, and the come hither of that energetic envelope to you to go, well, but I don't have that, right?
Right.
That's a choice point to say, to not go play there, and to say, well, that's data, that's correct. I don't have, Lisa or Sheila or BZ or a certain being or something, but I have something even better, because it is an incredibly close, loving friend that absolutely supports me 100%. And in this moment, I can see, wow, wait a minute, I had that. You know what I mean? So that's another one of those tools for seamlessly changing your frequency, and you can do it before you even get into that other frequency. Noticing is one of the things that helps you. If you notice it first, then you don't step through the door. You may just bump your toes on the sill as you look at the door frame, but you don't actually go into that neighborhood.
Right.
And now sometimes you may you may go in that neighborhood, and you may look around and go, uh-oh. I think I took a wrong turn. I think I'm in, I've gone in this area. And again, that's a noticing. And so you can help yourself navigate. Both of you can help yourself navigate out of it. Yeah. No, I don't mean you to use. I mean the
they use.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was something that you said there that brought something in for me, and then of course unfortunately it left, but I guess if it's meant to be, it'll come back around. Oh yeah, no, it did. Okay. I wanted to add to what you were saying about the fact that we have the closest thing to a friend, that, the best. Well, you're speaking of our soul, and
yeah.
I get that. Okay. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I apparently have such good communication with mine that it's not personified in a third party way. Okay.
That's good.
Well, yeah, you might think so. Unless, you want to have this conversation with, internally, my own perception. So I guess what I was trying to say was okay, I'm not doing this very well. Hold on a second. When you stated that you heard someone say, okay, but I don't have a Lisa, or I don't have, right? Very clearly too, though, I want to add that as a creator, you have the ability to call that forth.
Yes.
And the reason that I'm saying that is I'm very, very clear that's what happened with Lisa and I. For both of us. I called her forth, she called me forth. That's what this was. She recognized it way quicker than I did, of course, but still, it's the same thing, because that's how I view that. So that's my own personal take on that. Everyone has that ability. And the reason that I went the direction I did with the soul thing is for the very exact same reason. As a creator, if I choose, which by the way, I did choose, I do want to have a conversation with myself that I can readily, yes, okay, I have an issue. I'd like to put a name. I'd like to, personify it a little bit. That's the kind of thing humans do sometimes. So I did that, and I'm now in a little bit. I'm experimenting with that, and I think that's a really, so it's the same thing for me. With having the ability to call that forth, if that's something a person should desire.
Yeah, and it's interesting as I'm listening to you, and actually I'm watching the fire, but the frequency, the toning of what you're bringing forth, both of you, but the toning of what you're bringing forth, Sheila. Well, I have to say it's very cool because it's in the fire. so I can see it in the fire, which is, since I've never had a fire pit,
I love that.
Pretty cool. But so anyway,
Fire
I gotta catch back up with the. I was doodling in class. I was watching the.
I got you.
But what I was gonna say is that. So I'll use you as an example because you just gave that story, but this is for all yous out there. My sense is that I'm not sure about giving it a name, giving you a different name than you or whatever, but some people that works really well for them, so great. But okay, I have to stop looking at the fire. Because
it's mesmerizing. I know, and the glow it is casting is just awesome.
What I wanted to say, what came to mind very quickly, and actually I had a picture-in-picture, so one is a picture of what's tangibly in front of me of the fire and the toning of Sheila.
Okay.
You need to speak up a little bit, BZ.
The toning of Sheila and that energy. The other, the picture-in-picture, so the smaller picture was a conversation that we did maybe late January-ish. And it was around the telepathy, and it was around, but it wasn't on the telepathy one. It was when we were playing with how to allow yourself to visualize, to allow yourself to connect. And the title's not coming to me. How to allow yourself to connect with what that envisioning is bringing forth for you. And so both of you, we played, and both of you closed your eyes, and I did a little guided kind of entree into the portal of that for each of you. And then each of you shared, and Sheila really, gave this interesting and very specific and very detailed with colors and that kind of stuff. And then, so that was cool, and that was a complete thought. And then a little later in the conversation, she says, "But I don't see anything." And I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, because I got you on camera, and I got video. And I got So because, and then we played with it, and so for there, Sheila was saying, well, she didn't see it with her actual linear eyes, number one. And number two, it didn't come as if she was watching a video of it, yet she experienced it, and the way she related was that it was. And the reason I bring that forward here now is my sense is, for maybe not 100%, because everybody's, you know, got it all going on in so many different creative ways, but pretty much most of every being is having that personified conversation, is having that thing, but isn't quite exactly how they hang their hat on it, how they painted the personification of, and so they're not quite seeing it yet. And then as they play with that a little bit more, they go, oh, wait, that was you? I've been talking, oh, okay, yeah. I remember you in the coffee shop, or I remember, you know, that.
Well, yes, there's a fair amount of that going on.
So all of that is important to say, because it all helps with what we're focusing on in this conversation, is that your frequency matters, and your frequency will bring things into matter and materialize them for you. They can be it could be a combination of things. It could be and this is not accurate, but it's a linear placeholder. So it could materialize in a way that has actual form and physical linear matter. It can materialize it into a materialized frequency, in as much that you have, as we were talking about, you know, the personification of that conversation, or since it's all multidimensional, as your experience materialized it into someone else who was related to the experience, but nowhere near you, and in theory, from a linear perspective, had an encounter with that experience prior to that experience arriving in your linear time frame. Does that make sense? With me, I'm talking about me having experience of it before you purportedly experience it in the linear.
Right.
Okay, yeah. Well, I found that a bit interesting in and of itself, of course, because that's, you know, I know that we're not in the linear. I'm aware of that. And so, and I'm very dizzy in this moment of now, but I would like to.
Okay, I'm just going to say this because I've noticed this for a little while. Sometimes in our energetic envelopes, I get a tingling sensation on the side of my head right here. A lot, and it's going off like crazy, and it makes me want to just like, what is this? Why is this happening? Do you guys feel that?
I don't right now. I'm so dizzy that it's, I mean,
yeah, I feel like it's a frequency thing, and that's why I'm saying that, because it feels that way to me. And I don't know.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm going like this.
Yeah, I feel the swaying. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
the tingling and the swaying. I don't know.
For one way I would describe that is that, well, it's kind of a couple of things. First of all, you are experiencing your multidimensionality in that. So it's almost like, again, this is actually a pretty apt metaphor. when you, because I remember it happened 3 times a day, very distinctly. So it's very fresh in my linear feeling sensory, that you air currents. And I walked, I was just walking down the road at work, and there was a stretch of about 4 feet where it was really warm. And then there was a pocket stretch of about 2.5, 3 feet where it was cool, markedly cooler than the other. So maybe the first one may have been like 75 degrees. And the next one was maybe more like 60 degrees. And then there was a section where almost like if there were 2 streams, I could feel the 2, the warmer and the cooler, and then I just walked back into, let's say, the regular ambient air, if that's a fairly good description. So what my sense is, when that, because it happens to me a lot, and it how it happens and why it happens changes, as it keeps its expansion. But your multidimensionality is showing in that. And so your how to describe this? So, because I hate separating this out, but I guess I have to do it in a linear way to describe it. So little Lisa is in the chair rubbing her head on the left side. And big Lisa is all in the conversation and lighting up different sectors in your synapses in your brain, again, to use
linear. You said that and moved over here.
Yes.
Stop that. Oh, I love it. Thank you. Yes.
And so perhaps another way to describe it on a and this will not be accurate, 1, because it's linear, and 2, because I don't know all the scientific things about it, but on a physiological level, and again, I hate to separate it, but so Lisa is is in the process of fully reformatting and shifting all of the avenues, portals, and they are portals, and conduit connections. So use some of those within your, not only your whole being, but your brain in particular, because the organic human brain, which you came in with, has changed back to the true change to, or changing to, it depends on each being, back to the organic human template, which is then expanding. So it's almost like, you're, and back to isn't correct. So you're stepping forward into what was the original intention. And at the same moment, you're then expanding from there. And so what you're describing that you're feeling and experiencing is, one way to characterize it might be, say, more things are a car metaphor just came in, so all right, so you're now firing on more cylinders, and I guess we'll continue that. So you're actually shifted from just regular grade fuel to, you can now very efficiently process a higher octane, right? That and the last part that, and this is just a simple overview, but the last part that feels really important to point out is that, okay, so there, that's a good energetic feeling illustration of that. You're having moments where you're co-piloting, and till there is no separation where it could be deemed as co-piloting. Does that make sense?
Yes. And that activated everything right here in this hurry. Right now. So if you could see it, my hair is standing on end right here in the kitchen area. Nobody knows what that means, but that's like her. Anyway, yeah, that was smack on. Oh my goodness. Help her. Yeah. This is really exciting, this whole like dying and rebirthing in your shoes. It's really interesting. I'm fascinated by all of it, really.
I absolutely grok it.
I'm sorry, but that's going to be a new show. I'm dying and rebirthing in my shoes.
Life is messy. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Well, and you look fabulous doing it, darling. So there.
Well, and it's interesting because this is one of those conversations that can be quite a big one, because part of it, since it's part of it is how to, right? There are examples and this and the other thing. So we've given play with a couple that really are kind of all tied together, because the energetic envelope was the catalyst. This energetic envelope was the catalyst for a number of those.
We can't hear you again, BZ.
So this energetic envelope was a catalyst for a number of kind of touchstones or noticing of that frequency matters, and then seamlessly changing your frequency. So I think one of the thoughts on before off camera when we were talking about this, it would be that, changing your frequency from one that may be lower or less expansive, and going this way and going up, but also what wanted to be given voice to is that you're also just in a frequency, and hey, I'm hanging out here, I'm playing, I'm doing stuff, I'm expanding, I'm all sorts of things, and you can, because you are playing with your frequency and it is matter, it's materializing, it's bringing into matter, right? Mm-hmm. It's now expanding even from there on a quantum jump.
Hold it. Hold up. So back to what we were talking about with my first reaction to the quantum campfire. Because, I started feeling dizzy when we were talking about how BZ had seen this 2 weeks ago, right?
Right.
So I was feeling into that. So when she said your multidimensionality is showing, I can feel that is why I started getting dizzy, because I was feeling into how that might have played out. So on some level, I think I was visiting that. Okay. But this just came in for me in regards to some of this too. Well, part of what came in is in the seamless part. I've said many times over the last little bit here, I love my life. I live in a sitcom. And because it's just like Comedy Central over up in here, it seems a lot. Yeah. And so being the humor portion, I mean, you know, laughter is the best medicine. That all those kinds of things are said for a reason, and that certainly changes frequencies. And it's a hell of a lot easier for me anyway to turn around and go, look what I did.
It's an instant one, isn't it?
Yeah, would you get a load of me for a second? You know, that kind of thing. And it does, it sort of changes it. So there was that, but then there was something else right there on the edge that I guess it'll come back, but it had to do with, oh yeah, okay. So because of the, you know, last video, the woe is me not being supported any longer, that whole kind of energetic, because, you know, that also is an underlying thing in that jealousy that I was experiencing. Okay, or what I thought for momentarily I was experiencing. But if that's no longer supported, no wonder I was able to integrate that so quickly.
Yeah, right. I know.
Right. Because woe is me is, you know, didn't pick me.
No.
Right?
Right. Yeah, that's really cool. That's a really cool thing right there for me to.
Well, yeah, that's because what's supported now is expansion.
Right.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
And that's why so dissect a little more from a linear level. That's why what wanted to be given voice to here. You know, that's oftentimes why when I you know, did the CCRTC the around the, you know, the round table and stuff, and also in the quantum campfire, is that what wants to be given voice. So in this, what wanted to be given voice was Lisa bringing forward the, you know, the other thing. So instead of like, you know, being in, you know, just being in a place where you are and starting to go into a quote unquote bad neighborhood or a lower neighborhood, and, you know, being able to level off or level up, right? What wanted to be given voice to that was actually just being in this cool neighborhood and jumping right up to a whole quantum leap of a neighborhood. And look what it did, right? It gave, in that playing with that, gave Sheila a whole different level of realization and expansion on something that went through and happened.
Yeah, but that is why the frequency matters. We actually, this is actually quite lovely to have this conversation follow up from our Lisa and my earlier conversation today with Jennifer Brown. And and if I'm not mistaken, did I think I might actually have titled it something very similar, PC, to be honest. Yeah. Well, it says why showing up for nudges matter, but it was the same. So this is really kind of the same. A lot of that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Showing up for your nudges is also in a frequency. I feel. Yeah. For me, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, showing up for your nudges is the most fantastic, delicious, expansive ticket to ride that you can have.
And that's what's supported now.
That's right. That's right.
That means it's easier and easier. It's harder and harder to fight against it. So.
Right. It also means that not showing up for them is fast approaching not being supported.
Right.
See in some measure the next video.
I was going to say, and well, for me, it's almost immediate already.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when that happens, you know, for me, yeah. Well, I'm not giving it that opportunity anymore, but so
Cool.
yeah.
I know. What fun we have.
I know, right? And just when so this has really been a very awesome one for me all the way around. And do either one of you have anything else you'd like to add, or?
No, I just want to say that it's nice that my family over here, my fur family, gets to be with us.
Yes,
So
I love
I have
this.
enjoyed this so much. Watching them. Yeah.
It's the next best thing to being there, which is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, well, awesome. Well, we will have all the information of how to find Lisa's blogs over at Heart Song Musings and Rush Solutions Tools for Transformation, along with how to, of course, find BZ's blog at the IUV. And then there's always a way to join the Friends of Conscious Conversation Central Facebook page, along with my email address, all in the Show More section. Oh, wow, I just got dizzy again, of this video. So please feel free to comment or contact any one of us. And love you guys. Until next time.
Till next time.